Ever thought that innovation could be a waste of time? Stick around to find out why. Hey, it's Jacob. Welcome to this new video. Today, I want to talk about innovation because I've seen a lot of things where like people talk about innovation, but in fact, like that's not necessarily good for everybody. Like it's not the way people misunderstand how innovation works, I think, and it innovation is like we need to understand it from a customer standpoint. Like it's not just the new thing. If it's the new thing, then the problem is how do you know that it actually has an impact on the user? And that's something that I really I've seen a lot. Like this is I'm gonna give you a real like, example that because I met someone that we're talking about like neural networks basically. If you don't know what I'm talking about, a neural network is basically something that learns by training, right? Like basically, it's a thing that where you put a lot of examples, and then it's going to like you feed it examples here, and with the correct answer here. So it's called a label, and then it's going to basically learn how the association between the two kind of, and then extrapolate and be able to like do things that are not part of like the existing example, right? It's not just copying things, it's kind of learning, you know. And then so what's the story with that? Well, I've met someone that was explaining to me that the math behind neural networks here, in order to train that thing, then those math were just very old, is what he was saying. And he had like a basically a startup to do something that was a little bit different, and that the point of his startup was to use new math in order to basically train the neural networks in a new way, right? In a different way, and it might be marginally better because like that new math is kind of there are new tools right now that we have that might make it a little bit better in some ways, right? And so that was the idea of the startup. Well, it didn't do really well. And the problem with that is it's cool, like that's new, and from a technological standpoint, it might even be marginally better. And that's you might think, well, if it's better, why isn't it everywhere now? Like, why don't people do the thing that is better? And it's like and I understand that, and I mean that makes sense in a way that it should be the best thing that gains that is put on the market and stuff. Like why isn't the best technical and technological thing the number one thing, right? And the thing is that's kind of like what I want to talk about here, because there are multiple let me try again this multiple factors is what I want to talk about here. So multiple factors, what does that mean? It means from a like the person that I was talking with was an engineer, right? So from an engineer standpoint, like he only has the technical side, and that's cool. Like from his point of view, the thing is actually better, but there are other things to take into account. Like what about the user of the app or of the neural network in this case? Like the user, does that user actually care about having new math in a neural network or not, right? And maybe the problem is then what the user might care about is how easy it is to use, right? And the thing is, or how well documented that new technology is. How much of a community do we have? Is there forums about it? Right? Because this, I mean, it kind of like goes back to ease of use. And because the more you have all of that, the easier it's going to be to actually use it. And so if you don't have all of that, then it might be marginally better. It's not going to be better for the actual user because it's going to make it very difficult for a lot of different things like troubleshooting. Let's write TS here for troubleshooting. The troubleshooting is going to be a nightmare if there is no help. And there is like a very simple thing also about like troubleshooting. It's like, do large language models know about it, right? If it's a new tool, large language models like ChatGPT is not going to be able to help for a very simple reason. It's not being trained on it because it's being trained on what is like, I think it's 2024 or 2023 or whatever, but like it's definitely not going to be very, very efficient with the very last tool. So we need to consider all of those aspects with it. So the problem is to not consider multiple factors into the new innovation. And that's something that I think, we tend to do this intuitively, and then people tend to say, well, you're using that's not good. Like, we have the very last tool and stuff. Like, some people are gonna kind of shame you as a user for not using the very last tool. And that's the thing is, we tend to do that, and then we get shamed for like doing the actual correct behavior, because again, in the real world, it matters to be easy and fast to implement things, because you have other constraints, you have other things to do. You want the tool to be easy to set up, and you want it to be extremely robust. You don't want to change it all the time, because again, if it's new, if you get like a new an invention that is new, a new software or a new tool or whatever, well, guess what? It's likely not to work for a period of time, because like then you have an update, and then there are compatibility issues. There are like it takes time for something to get more robust. So there is that part as well. Even though like as a user we understand that intuitively, then people like I'd say, yeah, maybe people that are a little bit too academical. I want to be nice, because like, yeah, those people are not necessarily dealing with the real world. In the real world, there are things, other considerations that we need to take into account, and that are just not compatible with the new thing, and just getting like using the new tool again and again and again and again. Like it is counterproductive to do that. There is also another thing. Maybe you have a workflow, an existing thing that is using those tools. And guess what? Like, if you have a workflow using a tool from a specific company, then there is no way that there is no reason for the new thing to care about like you being compatible because you had like a tool from another company. Like they don't necessarily have to care about that. Sometimes some people do, when like you have a monopoly of like a very, very big, very widely used software that everybody is using. Then yeah, maybe the new thing, the new company is going to understand that you need to be compatible with like it, to make it extremely easy to go with the new workflow, because like most likely like a lot of people are going to be working with that tool. So yeah, 100%. But guess what? Like that's an exception. Most companies, they don't necessarily care about that, because they're focusing again on they don't care about all of those factors. They just focus on like technological improvements. And so for all of those reasons, innovation is the thing is, some people might say, yeah, that's innovation is kind of random. It's not always the best thing that comes to market and that takes over, you know. And it's kind of true that there is like an element of unpredictability in a new product, 100%. Like there is an element of randomness, yes. However, there is also like that aspect of it, which is what you think is the best is not necessarily the best, because you forget about like all of these other factors. So that's all I wanted to say in this video. Thank you for watching. And if you want to be part of my contacts, click on the link in the description. And if I want to share something with you, I'll send you an email. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.